Okay, may Hashem forgive our avonos. Now, Shavuos. When was the Torah given to Bnei Israel? What is the date of Shavuos? Well, everybody knows it's Vav Sivan, the 6th of Sivan. Apparently, it's not so simple at all. It's Machlokes in the Gemara in Shabbos, Perek Rabbi Akiva. Yeah, the Gemara there discusses from Daf Pei Vav, more or less till Daf Pei Ches, if the Torah was given on Shavuos, on Vav Sivan or Zayin Sivan. Everyone agrees that the day of the week was Shabbos, but it's debatable whether it was 6th or 7th of Sivan. How could such a Machlokes be? You can look up the Gemara there to see how the machlokas develops. But at the end of the day, one thing is for sure, and that is the date of Shavuos is not written in the Torah. The only Yom Tov of the year where the date is not mentioned is Shavuos. The Torah doesn't tell us clearly, doesn't say black and white, what is the date of Shavuos. And of course, the question is why, right? Why can't the Torah tell us you have to celebrate Shavuos this and that time? The only Yom Tov. The other question is, why is Shavuos called Shavuos? So with all the respect to all the fancy English words, Shavuos actually means what? It means one thing. Shavuos means weeks. So this is, I think, the shortest Chag, yeah, that we ever have, except for Yom Kippur. Okay, yeah, it's a one-day Yom Tov, it's supposed to Pesach, right? Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. Shavuos is one day in Eretz Israel, and yet we call it weeks. Yeah. So the joke says that you eat so much in Shavuos, so many cheesecakes, it takes weeks to get back to your original weight. That's a very unpleasantly true joke. So still, why is it called Shavuos? So one answer, I'm basing myself on Rabbeinu Bechaye and the Chizkuni, not exactly word for word, but I saw the words of the Rishonim this evening, some of the Rishonim, and they basically say one very interesting idea, and that is they say that, as we know, Shavuos is the end, the climax of Sfiras Omer, right? It's the end of Sfiras Omer. Sfiras Omer means you have to count and count and count until you reach Shavuos. The Torah does not want to give us a date for when we receive the Torah because, yeah, because the idea is that you're supposed to count and then you yourself get to that date. Very nice. The idea is that to show chavivas, you're counting, like the chinuch says, ke'eved ish afzel, we're counting the days for Kabbalah Torah. But beyond that, it shows us that we are very eager to prepare for the Torah, and the main thing is the preparation. In other words, all the Torah is telling us when you celebrate Pesach, then you count the Omer, right? And then you reach Shavuos. But the counting, the Omer, is the main thing. Meaning, of course, Shavuos is the climax, but the idea is it's about the journey, not about the result. The journey that we're making in order to receive the Torah, to get to that level, that's what the Kosh Baruch Hu wants from us. To make ourselves to be a kli, to accept the Torah. This is a kli. We are now serving Hashem, yeah, by preparing and making ourselves better people and more able to receive the Torah. What does it mean that we're making ourselves kelim to receive the Torah? What does it mean practically? So it means, I'll tell you a story. There was once a boy, and his mother wanted to serve him especially nice dish, very nice, sweet kind of cake that he would have loved. And the boy tasted it, and he said, "I'm sorry, mommy, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but this cake really tastes very like sour. Maybe it's off. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but maybe it was out of the fridge for a long time. Maybe it's stale." The mother said, "No, it's a very sweet cake. Everyone loves it. Look, and it's fresh from today. It hasn't been in or out of the fridge so much." And then they saw that when the boy came home, he came back home from school, he had some very, very, very spicy snack. And that spicy snack, with the taste was still in his mouth. When he tasted the cake, he really tasted the flavor of that very strong spicy snack. And this is what happens to people who study Torah without prior preparation. If we come to Har Sinai, we come to Shavuos with our prejudices, with our ego, with our wonderful ideas we gleaned from the Western world, Yeah, so the trash can called Western world, then of course we don't see the Mesikas Torah. We don't understand why the Torah is so sweet. There are many strange ideas and it's not scientific and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't sit right with my values. Of course it doesn't. Because you have to change yourself. You have to make yourself a kli in order to receive the Torah. The Torah is beautiful. The Torah is pure water. The Torah is pure oil. The Torah is pure milk. The Torah is, by the way, if you noticed, is compared to many different types of drinks: wine, oil, milk, water, dew, all that. Why? Because all these things require kli kibul. Yeah, solid things you can actually put outside just on the table, but things that are liquidy, things that are drinks, liquids, you have to put in somewhere. The Torah can only be hosted, be accepted by a person who's a real kli. If the person is not a kli, then he doesn't have much to look for. And that's the message of Shavuos. That's why the stress is on the day, the word Shavuos, weeks. You have to work for the Torah weeks and weeks, and then you reach the climax, then you are able to receive the Torah. That's the idea of Shavuos. Another idea is that Shavuos is, as we know, this is also, as far as I remember, the Ramban talks about it, that Shavuos is the end of which holiday? Pesach. Yeah, Pesach was 7 days. Then we have to count how many, another 7 times, yeah, another 6 times, yeah, some 7 times seven altogether, like a nida, that has to count Shiva and Akim, 7 days, so we have to do 7 times 7, and then we reach the Torah. So Atzeres, Shavuos is really the end of Pesach. And that is something very, very interesting because really Shavuos doesn't have its own date because Shavuos is the end of Pesach. The third or fourth day of Pesach don't have a date either mentioned in the Torah. Shavuos is Pesach, continued into Sfiras Omer, and then ending up with Shavuos. It is not the same idea about Sfiras Omer. It's different. The idea is Atzeres is the last day, so to speak. That's like the other end of the stick of Pesach. Pesach is when we reached the level of being a free nation, but we were Oiv David Azara. We were when the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to split the sea said, that's racist, said the sea, the Yam Suf. Halal of David Azara, halal of David Azara, the both of David Azara, the Jews were of David Azara. I saw a very interesting Chazonish. Chazonish in the Igrois, he's very angry with a person who's trying to kind of make a I just said to romanticize the Bnei Israel in Mitzrayim. And the Chazon Ish says Bnei Israel in Mitzrayim, in today when they write books about the Jews in Mitzrayim, it's a new genre today of the Frum books. They make them look they did look Jewish, that's true. They had the Jewish looks, but they were Avdei Zarah. They were not Frum. They were Nishma from Arias. That was a very, very big thing. Yeah. The Nishma from Arias because they had good genes from Sarah and from Yosef, each gender. But they were Avodah Zarah, and they were immersed in the Egyptian mentality. And actually, I read one of those books, fascinating, and he writes that during Makas Choshech, why were so many Jews not interested in leaving Mitzrayim? Because after so many Makos, the Jews were already free people. Right? The Jews were already freed around Makas Kinim, I think. The Jews already became free people. And they became their status was even higher than the Mitzrayim. The Mitzrayim suffered death and so many injuries and damages throughout the Sersama because the Jews were actually high status. And so many Jews said, no, we love Egyptian culture. We love our country.
Because they were so used to it.
Because they were used to it, exactly. That's exactly the point. They were used to it and they were very immersed in it and they were Avodah Zarah. So when we left Mitzrayim, that was really, really nice. It was a day of independence, but we were empty. We had no that being in Mitzrayim, being out of Mitzrayim, but being like animals that just ran out of the cage has very little value. The real value was when
difficult situation.
It was difficult and it was empty, and it's difficult. You're right, Takil, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to think I'm independent and I have my own country, and this country is void of any Torah and mitzvahs. Right? There's a sefer written by a very, very choshev, a person called Rabbi Socher Shlomo Teichtal. Rabbi Socher Shlomo Teichtal, who wrote a sefer Ema Bonim Smecha. Yes, there is relation. If people, I get this question asked at least once a week, and the answer is yes. He was my great-grandfather's cousin. Now I'm saying it in public, yeah? We're online. He was my great-grandfather's cousin, and he left, his parents left Poland to Czechoslovakia. And we all know they changed the Hashkafas from being very anti-Zionist and very anti-moving to Israel into pro-moving to Israel. Too late, it was in the Holocaust. But many people don't know that in his famous sefer, Ema Bonim Smecha, which encourages and promotes the idea of making Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael, he writes there that if you have a country, a Jewish country that has no Jewish values, it's worth nothing. It's the worst thing possible. So as much as he wanted Jews to come to Israel, he said a Medina that's void of Torah and mitzvahs or is anti-Torah and mitzvahs is not worth anything at all. So when you leave Mitzrayim, what do? When you leave Mitzrayim, you are just like a chayara. You just have no values. The only reason they left Mitzrayim, Moshe told Paro, and he meant it, we're going to go for 3 days and serve Hashem, right? Did
Yeah.
Moshe lie to Paro? He didn't. He really said we're only going to serve Hashem, right? In other words, that's our only purpose. He wasn't saying we're going for a minute and we'll come back. He said we're not really leaving Mitzrayim. We just got to work Hashem. Once they serve Hashem, Mimelo they're stuck. Mimelo they're already stuck with the Shechina Kedosha. That's a good place to be stuck. The whole idea of Yetzias Mitzrayim is not finished, is incomplete without Shavuos, right? It's just not there. So Shavuos is the other side. To elaborate more, now we're getting to a deeper point. There are two holidays in the year. One of them is Shavuos, and the other one is bleep, 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 beep, 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 beep. Who do you think is the one other holiday in the year, another Yom Tov in the year, that is Shavuos's best friend? Not Pesach. Who is another Yom Tov which is similar to Shavuos in so many ways? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You missed your trip around the world. What? Well, I'd like to go around and get some more guesses, but we aren't or any time. Shmini Atzeres, and the winner is Jason. Why is Shmini Atzeres and Shavuos are similar? First of all, the name. They share a similar name. It's called Atzeres, and also Shavuos is called Atzeres. Oh, that's a nice comparison. Obviously, the question is why? Why are they both called Atzeres? So really, we really do have two holiday seasons in the Jewish calendar. One of them is in Tishrei, and the other one is now in the spring. Yeah, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan. So on during Tishrei, what do we have? We have the Yomim Tovim. We have Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and the final shot, the final note, the climax is Atzeres. And then we have Pesach in the spring, also finished off by Atzeres. I didn't answer my question. Don't let me go home yet. Atzeres, why is Atzeres called that way? What does Atzeres mean? Atzeres means to stop. Atzeres also means Beima Atzarta is a place where you collect your wine. Beima Atzarta is a place where you collect. In other words, in Atzeres of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, in the Atzeres of springtime, which is now, you take all the good that you have, all the treasures that you collected throughout the months, and you collect it. Yeah, as we said about the Torah, yeah, if somebody gives you many, many sweets, it's very frustrating for the kids who collect the candies in the Simchas Torah and the Bar Mitzvah. If they don't have a bag that's big enough to collect, there's so many candies, I don't know where to put them. I need a bag, right? Fine. So he goes to me, my son, and so my pockets are full of sweets. Yeah, you need a place for the sweets. And here we explain another point. Why is it that these are the two holidays with no mitzvahs whatsoever? There's no mitzvah whatsoever, neither in Shmini Atzeres nor in Shavuos. What?
Yes.
It's a minhag, a very nice, important minhag, which I love, but it's not a mitzvah d'oraisa, not even the Rabbanon. Yeah, Rav Elyashiv says that staying up on Night Shavuos is less important than in Hoshana Rabbah, which is friendly with Shmini Atzeres, by the way. So both Shmini Atzeres and Shavuos are connected to Torah, because Shmini Atzeres in Eretz Yisrael is Simchas Torah. And Shavuos is also the day of Matan Torah. There are no mitzvahs. Why aren't there mitzvahs in Shmini Atzeres and in Atzeres of Shavuos? Because again, it's not about getting another sweet. It's about not doing anything, not doing any mitzvah, I mean, and doing what? Accepting, receiving, and collecting that good that you already have. That's called Atzeres. That's the idea of Atzeres. Okay, so both times you get what you have, you collect it in a bag, in a spiritual bag called Shmini Atzeres and called Atzeres the Yom Tov here. Another reason why there are no mitzvahs and more connection to Torah is because, here we come with another idea. What is the concept of Seuda Ktana? Remember what Rashi says in the Chumash about Atzeres? Atzeres being a Seuda Ktana. What's a Seuda Ktana? A small meal, a small, intimate meal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Klal Yisrael, Atzeres means to stop. To stop, not to stop like you put your foot on the brake. To stop meaning to kind of pause and stay together with Hashem. La'atzor is also like to stay. Come and stay with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Shmini Atzeres tells us the entire Sukkot is a beautiful day of Ava. Sukkot is all about love of Hashem. It's about Tiferes. It's about being in the hugged by the Sukkah and being adorned with the Dalet Minim. But Sukkot has an element of multitude. Sukkot is a very busy holiday, and there are too many people around in holiday. What do you mean too many people around? Who is celebrating Sukkot with us? For whichever reason, the Goyim. Sukkot is the holiday of Goyim with us. They're the only time they're kind of invited to be with us, not inside the Sukkah. We're not supposed to invite to go into the Sukkah. But Sukkot is a time when in Beis Hamikdash we would bring 70 bulls, Shivim Porim, representing the 70 nations. And the idea was that you should invite the Goyim, and they're not really close with us or around us. It says, Svavuni Porim Rabim, many bulls surround me, meaning the Goyim surround us. They are kind of halfway invited to Beis Hamikdash, but after the Goyim go home, Hashem says, "Oh, there's so much busy. It's like a big party. Imagine yourself, you make a very, very large party, a chassan of your son, and your best friend came from America to Eretz Yisrael, or vice versa. Wherever you are, your best friend came. And the whole time you're dancing with your mechutan, with the Rosh Hashiva, with the Rebbe, with all these people that you have to be nice to, your Magichi or whoever. And all of a sudden, your friend, you tell him, now the band went home, 2 o'clock at night. The caterers went home. You paid them. Yeah, you almost got a heart attack from all the money that you have to pay. And at the end of the day, you tell your friend, "Now I want to have a little bit of a drink with you, just you and I. You're my best friend from years already. I just want to have a small dance, a small drink, just with you. That very intimate schmooze, just with you. That is Shmini Atzeres. Shmini Atzeres, the Kodesh Baruch Hu tells us, yeah, please stay with me one more day. I want to be only with you. It's so personal. That's Shmini Atzeres. Shavuos is also about what? Getting married to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shavuos is compared in many, many places to a chasana. Yeah, in the Piyutim, in the community where I used to live in Gibraltar, they write about it a lot, the Gibraltarian Piyutim, that we are the chasan, we are the Kal, Hashem is the chasan. In other words, we kilu marry HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what happens in Shavuos. What does it mean that we marry HaKadosh Baruch Hu? This is not Christianity over here. What do you mean that on Shavuos we have that intimacy with Hashem? Shavuos was dafka a very pompous day. Shiva Akim, there's a very big event, Matan Torah, and Hashem, Kolus Ubrokim was very, very public, as opposed to Shmini Atzeres. So what is the common denominator? What happened in Shavuos that shows a personal connection with Hashem? Before I answer, I'll say a very, very nice idea that Rav Melech Biderman said. I saw it this evening in a clip, very, very moving. He said that on Shavuos, it's not like we accept the Torah together with the Klal Yisrael, although we do, but each and every person has to see himself as standing alone with Hashem at the chuppah. Even if the person is very low, even if the person managed to sink very low during the year, on Shavuos he has the chance to reconnect with Hashem on a personal level. And he said something very, very nice. Why did Hashem offer the Torah to Esav and Ishmael? He knew very well that they won't accept it. So why did Hashem say that Esav and Ishmael, he's offering the Torah to them? Is there a bit of what?
Because they can't come after the fact and say, if you've just given it to us.
Oh, so first of all, he's trying to avoid, the Goyim should not file a complaint against us in the Hague International Law, International Court. Yeah, they will do it anyways. Yeah. Lahavdil Khalila, Hashem wants to be fair and show the Goyim. But there's a deeper point. The deeper point you said is that many Jews would say, what do I have to do with Shavuos? Shavuos, I heard people saying it, and it's very sad. I'm not connected to Torah. I may be a frum Jew, but my connection to Torah is very low. Maybe I learn, but I do such horrible things that, I live in a contradiction. Shavuos is not for me. So says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, listen, I offered the Torah to people as low as Ishmael and Esav, the lowest people. They refused the Torah. But, by the record, Hashem actually offered them the Torah. It's an offer. It's for free. Maybe get 2 for the price of 1, 2 tablets for 1. That's a great, great deal. They refused. By Hashem actually showing, offering the Torah to complete going where the lowliest ones, yeah, that shows that you, the Yid, you're higher than them. You definitely can receive the Torah as well. But I didn't yet answer my question. What is that special connection in Shavuos we have with Hashem that we did not have before Shavuos? And the answer is as follows. We say in Leil Seder, Ilu nasalanu, ilu kavanu l'fnei Sinai, v'lo nasanu in Sotorah dayenu. It would be enough to just come to Har Sinai, not to receive the Torah, and that would be good enough. And the question is, like what? Are you serious? What do you mean? It's like saying, yeah, like you come to, I don't know, any example that comes to mind. I'm thinking about food right now. Yeah. Yeah. Although I do intermittent fasting. Yeah. You come to a restaurant and what do? Yeah, it's a nice restaurant, nice music. Yeah. They don't play Jewish music for a change. They play Jewish music, nice people, nice decor, and no food. It's nice decor and nice this, but what did they come for? No food in the restaurant? What do you mean? Not even a cup of water? So what are they coming for? It's nice to schmooze with my wife, yeah, but why? Why? Get to a restaurant, there's no food? What do you mean? It's just the atmosphere of Arsina? What's the story? What's the deal? Don't whitewash me with all these answers that they give me and let us say there, yeah. Where is Matan Torah without Matan Torah? Yeah, soapless soap. What do you mean? Torah-less Matan Torah? Hello, anybody? So the answer is that really they knew many parts of the Torah before. Although they were over the Zorah, and I do not regret or revoke what I said before, yeah, based on the Chazon Ish and many others, of course, the matzah was very low. But those who wanted to know Torah, such as Shevet Levi actually sat and learned in the Bais Medrash, and they knew big parts of the Torah from their forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, right? Then when they left Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu, before Matan Torah, gave them 10 mitzvahs already, almost not identical, but some are equivalent to Aseret Dibros. He gave them in Mora, Shabbos, Kibud Avayim, Poraduma. Poraduma is very not a simple universal value. And they received all these mitzvahs and accepted it. And those without Matan Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu could have actually not have Har Sinai, and he would have told them, as the leader, the mitzvahs throughout their journey. Let's say the story of the Miraglim would have happened anyways, without Har Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu, every few days, according to some Meforshim, told, or I don't know, every once in a while, he gave them more and more mitzvahs as they were going through the desert, and finished. And just tell them all the mitzvahs. They would sit down in a shir klali, in a shir Torah, shir halacha shkafa. They had nothing else to do with their on their hands. They didn't have to work. They were Avrechim for 40 years. That's why they didn't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. They wanted to keep staying in learning in the Midbar. And that would be amazing. So really, why do you need Har Sinai? Oh, why did they need Har Sinai? Har Sinai was really not about the Aseret Dibros themselves or the message of the Torah. Of course, it was a big part, but it wasn't the only thing. The main thing in Matan Torah was Pasach lifnem shiva arkin ve'er she'ein od milvado. That was the main point. Like the Gemara says in Shabbos, he opened the seven heavens and showed them that he's the only one. The revelation that Hashem is there, whatever it means to see Hashem, I don't know, but they, so to speak, saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They saw the Shechina. They all felt that very, very, very strong connection emotionally, mentally, in every fiber of their body and soul. They knew HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there, and that's the Dibra. The two first Dibros were said by HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly, not through Moshe. Anochi lo elech Elohim acherim. I am Hashem, and there's nothing else but Hashem. And that they knew so well that they died. Nafshi yotze b'dabra. What do you mean they died? Why did they die? Death doesn't mean the end of everything, as we know. Death is the beginning. They died or fainted. I don't know exactly technically what went on there, but Nafshi yotze b'dabra, the Gemara in Shabbos quotes the pasuk in Shir Shirim, their soul went up to Shamayim because they actually wanted to begin living with Hashem. They were so more than attracted. They were so naturally attached to Hashem, like a magnet. They just wanted to be with Hashem, so they died. The neshama didn't want to stay in this lowly physical body. They just wanted to be one with Hashem. That's what death is. And then the neshama, Kadosh Baruch Hu, brought them the neshama again and again and again and again, because every time they were so wowed, so wanted to be one with Hashem, such tshuka, such ava. Think of a person you love. Think of a beautiful grandson, granddaughter. You want to kiss him. You want to hug him, cuddle him. He's so cute. He's so amazing. Whatever, any kind of emotional attachment you have. That was a million times more. And that was the point of our Sinai. Our Sinai was not about receiving the information, it was knowing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and above all, knowing that Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who gave the Torah. Because academically speaking, as unfortunately some people say today, which is very sad, or people could have said, who said Hashem gave the Torah? That's in our Sinai. If just Moshe Rabbeinu would have given them this, that, and the other, somebody would wake up at some point and say, Moshe Rabbeinu, thank you very much. Well, that's what you say, but I think differently. Some professor from somewhere. Yeah, that's the point. Now nobody can deny. The point was a connection with Hashem emotionally and sichli, mentally, knowing that the Torah came from Hashem. That's what we gained from our Sinai. And now we understand what we say by Dayenu, Ilu kirvanu l'fnei our Sinai. If a Kadosh Baruch Hu would just be mekarv us to our Sinai and show us Anochi Hashem, and lo elcha lo mecher malponai, and then we'd go home to eat the blinches, that would be enough. Meaning the fact that he told us, yeah, lo tzirtzach, lo tzinaf, lo signov, lo stanabachai choker, lo tachmod, all the dibros till the end, that was obviously very important, but wasn't essential. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu could have done that 2 years later. Yeah, the main thing was a maimed of us feeling very, very close to Hashem. Now we see the connection. In Atzeres, it's like that intimate meal of one-on-one with Hashem. In our Sinai, it was a mass revelation, but still it was a personal connection. And that's why we say Anochi Hashem. No, we don't say Hashem said, Anochi Hashem Elokecho. All the other dibros are Beloshen Rabim. Except Lo Sir Tzach, Lo Signo, mean that Anochi Hashem Elokecho, yeah, in singular. I am Hashem Elokecho. Usually Hashem in the Torah says Elokechem. What do we say? Hashem Elokechem emes, right? And Hashem Elokechem, Motziechem Eretz Mitzrayim. Usually Hashem refers to the relationship between him and us as Elokechem. Here it says Ani Hashem Elokecho. Why? Because in the mass revelation, 600,000 people, really many, many more. So you can kind of get lost. Don't get lost. I am Hashem, your God. I'm your Elokim. With that big rash, with that big kivyochol, unbelievable supernatural show of Elokus, of divinity, there is that connection of Anochi, I, and you. It's you one-on-one with me still on Shavuos. So we have the mass revelation and we have the one-on-one at the same time. And that's Atzeres. We are Atzur together in a good way. So we are stopped together. We are intimate with Hashem one-on-one amongst everybody else. And that's Shavuos. That's a message. And this is something, and that's why Shavuos has no date. Meaning, because Shavuos, again, all the good that we had through Pesach, all the good ruchnias, everything we collected through Pesach, now we have where to put it. Now we have a connection with Hashem, and now we can look back and see, now we get everything. We were slaves. We got out of Mitzrayim. It wasn't regular Independence Day. It wasn't Stam. Now we feel so close to Hashem. Now we actually got married. Now we are having their intimate relations with Hashem, and that, in retrospect, shows us the entire journey was worth it. Now we know what we went through the Golus and through the past 50 days, 49 days. And the climax of that is Atzeres, when we are stopped, we are together with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. That is one idea of Shavuos. Okay? So that's Atzeres. That's what there's no date. Atzeres is the end of Pesach. Just like Atzeres, the beginning of the year, is the end of the Chagim of Tishrei.